What's going on, YouTube? I hope that everybody is having an amazing... I thought that I would film a tutorial explaining how to do something that I've really been trying to figure out how to do, and after days of looking on the internet to try to find some clarity about it, I could not find how to do it. I wanted to figure out just how I could put individual sounds on completely different tracks, how to map them to the keys and to the pads so that I could have samples or other bass sounds onto the pads and more treble-oriented sounds on the keyboard. After doing a little bit of fiddling, I finally figured out a good way that works for me, so without any further ado, let's head over to the keyboard. We're going to go to the ESX S24, which is the sampler that comes stock with Logic. So I should also mention before we get too far into it that for this tutorial to really be as intuitive as possible, you're going to want to go up here and then in between the record button and the top display panel where it shows you like the tempo and everything like that, you're going to want to right click and then make sure that under the customize control bar and display bar, you're going to want to make sure that it lets you click the MIDI activity in and out. The way that you enable that is you're going to want to go to Custom, and then once that's in and this is clicked, you're good. So going back to the sampler, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to hit the Edit tab that's above the volume dial. After that, you're going to want to open up your loop bar. And as you guys may know, when you have your loop bar, it can be loops, it can be anything from iTunes, anything that you want. And that's one good thing about this, is that you have a lot of freedom to kind of put in whatever sound samples you want. Once you find the sample that you want, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to bring it up into this zone right here. Just drag and drop will be fine. So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to pair the samples to the pads. We want to find out what specific note corresponds to that pad, and this is going to be where the MIDI in and out from the customizable toolbar comes in, because right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the far left pad on my Akai Advance, and as you can see when I press it, you can see up in this bar that that's C1. Now it kind of can be confusing when you press it because, you know, it says C10, but really and truly after you let go, it'll show you what key you press, which in this case is going to be the first C on the keyboard. So now that you have all of the sounds plugged into the keyboard, what you're going to find is that the keyboard, above the keyboard, there's going to be a line that is shaded in blue. In this case there's two, and if I click on one of them, they are highlighted in blue, which also corresponds to something over here being highlighted. We have the new album intro loaded up right here, and what I want to do is I want to make that specifically on C1, because how it's set up now is that if I play that sample, what I'm going to find is that it's going to be looped to every single note that there is. I've narrowed it down to just one key over each block, and let's see what it sounds like if I do it now. Right. So basically the problem that we're running into right now is that if you look under the key, right now we're mapped out to C1, which basically means that we're 2 octaves below what the key is for this. All we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we're in this menu, and we're going to make sure that this key corresponds to C1. Now if we make sure that it responds to C1, all of a sudden we have what we want. So we took care of the album intro, now let's take care of the bass drops. We're going to go in, and this time we're also going to change the letters as well as the numbers. So we're going to type in C#1. That allows the standard key and the standard tempo, just like it was recorded, to be set for C1. So one thing that you guys may be thinking to yourselves is, all right, we have the pads signed to every sample that we want, but since these function as ordinary keys, what's going to happen if we go to a synth sound or a piano sound or whatever sound that we want just for the keys? What's going to happen when we go to that and we try to play something that we want exclusively on the sample pad while we're also highlighting the sound for the keys? Now, just coming from stock logic, this is what would happen if we tried to do that. It's also going to trigger the synth sound that we do not want. We don't want that. So up underneath the record button, you're going to find a region menu and you're going to find a track menu. What you want to do is you want to open the track menu, and under the track menu you're going to find that there's a key limit to this synth. Now, right now, the minimum key that we can hit, the bottom where everything cuts off on the bottom end, is going to be right on the same note as what our sample sounds like. So what we're going to do to give our sampler some room to work with is we're simply going to look at this and we're going to make the limit for this C2 instead of C1, right? Now what that's going to do is that's going to make it to where the far left pad is going to hit C1, but the synth is not going to be triggered until an octave up. So what that's going to sound like is it's going to allow us to play this The beauty of this, I love this, like the feeling that you guys get when you're going to be able to have sounds dedicated to keys and then have samples dedicated to pads is going to be so awesome, alright? And here's another example just to show you that the bass drop works, right? Now, I don't know if you guys could hear that through the camera right now because I'm not recording audio through the screen, but right, there's the bass drop, and then there's our synth. So that is going to be how we're going to get sounds for the keys and then samples onto the pads exclusively on their own tracks. And that is it, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please drop a like and a comment to let me know what you liked about the video. See ya!